Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning trading session. The markets just opened with a rather substantial gap lower. Yesterday's trading did spruce up a little bit, not much. Spent much of the day going sideways, but they did produce a little bit of a rally. Recovered some of that early decline, but this morning, as I mentioned, huge gap to the downside, which I will show you here in just a moment. We'll see whether the market tries to recover, get into that gap, or whether that's like a power gap if they're just going to continue lower from there. All right, just finishing setting up my charts. We'll take a look here at the Eagle, and you can see what a waffling back and forth kind of market it was yesterday. Very quiet day. I don't think I ever remember a week that the stock indices have been so quiet. Anyways, the market's left off around the 45.18 mark, and they're opening down here at 45.02. So this is a big opening gap above the market. All right, well, let's see what they do with it. Not going to rush into anything. A lot of yellow bars here on the hawk. So we do have buyers attempting to push the market up, and sellers keep coming back and knocking it down. And, well, I guess here on the Falcon, technically this was a trend change signal right here about an hour before the open. Not much follow through on that. Not yet, anyway. And last but not least, here's the Raptor. And this might be the beginning of a soft edge buy signal where we keep retesting the bottom, and then the market might come back and produce a buy signal. This is going to be, like I say, if we do produce a signal here to buy, it's going to be a very early signal. And one of those types of signals that if you take it, it's just going to be, hey, let's see which way the wind is blowing kind of trade. Gold very strong this morning. Here's gold on the Eagle. And we have comparable signals across the board on gold. We did get a rule of 3 here right around gold's open. This would have been difficult to take. Well, actually, maybe this last one here I may have committed to. The reason this one not quite as attractive, it looks very much like a sideways range to me at this point. So gold comes back, gives one more deeper retest of the range, and then comes back with a buy signal. This one's a little bit more attractive because there's actually some room to adjust your stops before you get back to these highs. If you chose to pass on this one, you can always look for a with trend signal, which came right here. This is your new with trend signal. You can assume the bottom is in, you've breached the high. This is also a fairly high probability signal, a little bit easier to take than that rule of 3. And then we had just excellent follow through on that. So a nice way to start the day for you gold traders out there. crude oil also falling off sharply. All right, so here's a first micro-macro cross. This is the kind of trade I might, like I said, just do with a onesie. Let it break out, try to cover above here. If the order fills, I'll try to open it up here. I'll remove the profit objective. You could take it on the hash mark, but for the 3 or 4 ticks that I'm giving up, I think I would prefer the entry on the breakout. Good morning, Jim. Jim says the advanced decline, we got 600 on the buy and just under 2100 on the sell, but that's going to be very bearish looking because of that big opening gap. Here the hawk, or pardon me, the raptor coming back with another retest. So here too, you could park an order below. In fact, what I would do is let's just throw a runner in. So here the raptor producing a sell signal right here, retesting the lows again. If they retreat from here and produce a buy signal, that could be a pretty decent buy signal. Oh, nicely done. Jim's already bagged 2 oil trades. There's the buy signal. So we'll try to pop in on that buy signal. I'll delete that and we'll throw a stop in below the low. There we go. So what this is now is a soft edge buy. And as I mentioned, this is just kind of a test type trade. We're going to delete that order also. So we're just testing. We got the early trend change signal here in the Falcon, along with the Raptor signal. The early trend change signal develops when the trend line changes. I don't point this out very often because people tend to get anxious with it. The early trend change signal, you need to have that retest of the low, and the signal will produce just as the trend line changes over. Why don't I point it out to you that often? Well, because most times, or almost every single time, once you get the early trend change signal, you'll get the proper trend change signal. I need an abbreviation for that. That's hard to say. And then we'll get the proper signal and the proper buy sign if this trade is actually going to move higher. So if you take the early signal, the idea is you need to leave your stop a little bit deeper in anticipation of that reaction and the proper signal forming. There. Whew. That was tough to say. And we've hit the break-even trigger, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to ride this out. I wanted to leave my stop down here. Oh well. We'll see how it goes. Oh, we might have caught a bit of a break here. So let's take a look here at the support and resistance lines. 45.15 is the median line. That looks like a probable target, after which we're up to 45.21.5. And I think it's almost time to choose something a little bit more aggressive stop-wise. There we go. Let's go with the parabolics. Come on, NQ, get into that gap. 4,500 is going to be a huge number for the NQ. That's where they kept bottoming out. If they take out that low, then I think we're going to see prices decline much further. It's a very, very tight range for the NASDAQ. If you haven't consulted a daily chart, let me build you one. And daily charts are just fun to look at for reference sake. Sometimes to see where the market is in the big scheme of things. So here's the NQ on the daily, and here's the last week of trading that we've had. There's Wednesday, there's Tuesday, there's Monday. Crazy. And here was, what day was that? The end of May, so that was a Monday also, which is not at all typical. So right now we've got a market which is very, very congested, very sideways. And that's why it's been so tough. It's been tough slogging. All right, so we're into the hard edge. I suppose I could have taken some profit there. That would have been the smart thing to do given how sloppy the market has been trading lately. But I'm going to get tapped here on my parabolic and make the broker a little money, but it won't be so much for me. This is the trend change signal here and now on the Falcon, you see? So we got the early signal here. Now we're getting the retreat into the line, and we're going to come out with the buyers, and the buyers are going to hopefully hold this level so I don't get stopped out on the Raptor trade. And they'll come out and produce a buy signal, in which case that will be a trend change signal for us. Technically, I suppose it will be a little bit counter trend given that the market does seem to be more bearish than bullish. No. No, get away from there. Produced a first micro-macro cross here in the Hawk, right here. Did that reach our profit objective? Yes, it did. Hooray for us. So a nice little scalp there. The eagle not producing a buy signal yet, and El Raptor stopping us out on target, or on the on that parabolic. All right, well, let's see what comes of this now, whether or not the buyers can hold it together or whether the sellers are going to start jumping all over them. This macro pullback signal, not as high probability signal, yes, not as desirable because the lack of trend. Not as desirable because the market's still going sideways here. So another trade where if you're going to try it, you're better off just throwing a onesie in it, because there's a very real possibility that if the market's in a sideways range here, it's going to come down here, it's going to retest the lows, it's going to hit your stops. If the buyers do have control, well, then we're okay. But at this stage, it's unclear who is controlling this market. At this stage, it still looks very much like a 50-50 type proposition, that the buyers and sellers are fairly balanced. All right, there's the macro pullback signal. So what I'll do is I'll delete the break even, or I'll delete the profit target, which was near the high. So if we hit around 45.13, we'll know we would have found our profit objective. But actually, maybe I'll put my break-even trigger up here. And if we get a breakout from there, well, then that might work out very nice for us. The Raptor working on a cloud crossover signal now. That developed a little early, so there's the Raptor signal. And you can throw in your order just at the high. And here too, you're going to want to cover below the lows. Okay, and we, at the same time, we did produce that Falcon signal. So I'm sorry, Falcon traders, I'm a little bit late on that, but your trade would look like this. And I better get this trade to break even. Oh, enable, there we go. I was going to make a Danger Will Robinson reference, but I don't know the relative ages of everybody in the audience if you would even know what I was talking about. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's old enough to remember that. Oh, Russell asked me yesterday about sending yeah, Jim says I need those swallowing arms that he had. That was a pretty cool show for the day. Wow, a real robot? Okay, Russell was asking me via email how to set the break-even trigger. And Russell, I want to make sure you're in the room before I go through all this today. There you are. Hold on one second, and I will tell you, because it will save me a whole lot of typing. Let's do it here on the Eagle, because I don't have an Eagle trade going just yet. What you want to do is you're going to go to your strategies window, because this is related to your trade manager. If your trade manager is already engaged, you're not going to be able to make any changes. You see, it's all gray. You can't make any changes. The only one that is black is this one here, enabled. That's your on-off switch. So we're going to disable Trade Manager and click Apply. So that turns your trade manager off. Now you can make any change you want. Here near the top, A2, auto break-even parameters. First, you need to enable the service. I don't know why it says enable, disable, because you can't do both at the same time. So we're going to turn it on. We're going to go to true, and now you set your break-even trigger. So whatever value you want the market to move to break even at. Now I typically think that if the market gets anywhere from 75 to 80% of my profit objective, it's probably a good time to go to break even. So with the NASDAQ Eagle, I have a 40 tick profit target. So I've set my break even at 30 ticks, which is about 3/4 of the way there. Then you can also preset your break-even offset. By default, it's break-even plus 1 tick. But, you know, this is the Eagle. Maybe I want to save break-even plus 5 ticks or 10 ticks or whatever you want. Anyway, when it's to your liking, I recommend that you go here to your template manager, and where it says save, just type in a name, type in a label. I called mine Eagle. And so now any changes you make will be reflected in that template. So when you load a fresh chart, you can just go here to load, and you can pull down to your Eagle template. And if you make a mistake, you can always remove one. Once that is done and you're all set to use it, go back here to your enabled tab, click on true, apply it. You have to remember to apply it, and voila, there it is. Now when you set a trade, you'll also get your break even. See, so I just hit the buy market button, and we also have a break even. All right, so our Falcon trade just hovering below the profit objective. Our Raptor trade, now this was the cloud crossover signal that we were looking at, also floundering a little. If you're anxious on the trade, you could bring your stops in below here. Why there? Well, this is the bar that has a tail on it. It shows that there was some selling here, that the sellers tried to push the market down, but the buyers recovered it. It's probably a little bit too early to get the trade to break even just yet. I'm getting a few people saying, oh, that's how the template worked, and how to preset your auto break even. Don't be shy to ask. That's why I'm here. Come on, get up there. Get going. So here on the Raptor as well, my break-even target is just about 3/4 of the way to the profit objective. Sorry, I got a little distracted there for a sec. There we go. All right, so we hit the break-even. Now we're playing on their dime. That makes everything a little bit more palatable. And our Hawk trade also progressing nicely, and hooray for us. We would have hit our profit target here on the Falcon. So next stop, 45.21.5. And let me see how much more aggressive the parabolics are. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the parabolics here. I don't feel much like letting some of this open profit get away. How are we doing anyways? Whoa, $150 on a single contract in the Hawk. That's pretty impressive. You see, the markets have a tendency to only move certain ranges before they react. This is why our high probability targets work as well as they do. Let's see, had I got the entry, looks like I got slipped a couple ticks here on the entry. That's almost the difference right there on our profit side. Oh, no, don't. Don't you dare. Don't be like that. Stinkers. All right, well, at least the Hawk was able to protect a little bit more of that profit on that little bit of a little uptick that we saw there. And now that big opening gap is pretty much filled. Right back to where we left off yesterday. That's what I was looking at here. This extension of yesterday's low was also near the close, and we filled that gap. So out of the open, we had that little bit of a rally, filled it in, and now we'll see whether or not they choose to continue higher from here or whether they're going to try to press lower. I suspect we're going to see a little bit of a move lower. It might not be a full-on reversal, but you see we're working a possible rule of three signal here on the eagle. We do need to see it come down a little bit more. If the rule of three does not work out, it's just going to work itself into a full trend change signal. And even if the market continues sideways, you can see we do have some room here toward the top end of this trading range, which appears to be around the 45.30, 45.32 area, which is still a long ways from where we are right now. And then there's always the possibility that the eagle will come back and just flash a green bar sell. Too many choices. It does seem as though that we may have found the limit of our opening range. There's only a couple minutes left before the top of the hour. watching this green bar sell. See, we're in an obvious transition, or, sorry, not so obvious transition. I'm not entirely sure the market is transitioning. You see here on the Raptor, we're obviously more bullish. We might be producing a hard edge bounce. The market could come here into the hard edge and then come out with a buy signal. That's very possible. In fact, we can even throw a trend line across the bottom there. The Falcon, also a lot more bullish looking. We had that nice little move higher here, which found the profit objective. Now is reversing into a trendline touch signal. And if it rallies out of here, it might be worth trying to buy it again. The problem I'm having with the Falcon is this recent development really just a bear flag and the market's going to head lower? Then we also have the Hawk, which is appearing bullish, is trying to produce a macro pullback signal, has now slipped into yellow bars. So if you tried to buy that macro pullback signal and you took it on the hash mark, well, you're going to have to cover it at least to here, ideally even a little bit deeper. The way I would have approached this macro pullback signal is to draw a trend line, or perhaps even a trend line like this. Okay, and now we're coming in with a red bar buy signal, which we could short the failure of, or we could take it with trend also. So, you know, the market just very indecisive right now. All right, so there we are into the hard edge. Here's the eagle producing a sell signal with the green bar sell. It's currently against the ATR, but given the proximity of the lows, if you were to take this one, I think I would favor the second push on the entry. And perhaps, can I cover it up there? Oh, I can. All right, so the idea is if this bar trades now below this ATR line, below the recent low, or actually I could have taken it below the low of the bar, it will flip the ATR over, assuming, of course, it's going to head lower. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Now I could have placed my stop above this high, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give myself a little bit of room. If in fact the market turns here and tries to retest the high once more, it may just break out by a tick or two and then head the other direction, right? I don't want to get tagged by a tick or two because I have my stop right there. So that's why I tried to keep my stop further away. All right, looking for a retest of the low here. And did we get a comparable signal? No, not yet. I thought maybe there was a red bar buy signal we could have shorted. The Raptor, well, I wouldn't, well, you know what? You could have considered this a soft edge sell signal. A little bit difficult to see because this was your retest right there. And then you came in with a soft edge sell. But I would not argue with you if you said, hey, Eric, that's a soft edge sell. Why didn't you sell it? No, you're right. You could consider that a soft edge sell. Remember, the key component to the soft edge buy or the soft edge sell is that you need to see a retest and a failure. Once you get that, you're good to go. All right, working a first micro-macro cross here now into the hard edge on the Raptor. Working a possible trend change on the Falcon. So my goodness, they're ranging again today. Just when I thought maybe, just maybe, we would get outside of this ranging nonsense. Okay, so you can see the bottom end of this signal occurred right here at this other support area. Initially, I would probably look to short it below the low. As it retreats higher, however, you can look to short it a little bit earlier. And in fact, if this turns into a macro pullback signal, it will be a pretty decent retest of this high and probably a good short. Now, it's still pretty aggressive at this level. In fact, I'm going to dial it down to just a single, just because this market does not have much in the way of structure just yet. You know, there's no real trend. Yes, we paid off to the upside. Yes, this is a first micro-macro cross. Yes, it is a high probability signal. But we also have a market that's pretty much stuck moving sideways. It's too bad the markets just don't make a beeline to their profit targets. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, so we can adjust this trade a little. It's getting into that macro pullback territory. Not a macro pullback yet, but getting there. Ooh, I'm not liking this. The eagle about to produce a rule of 3 signal. Get away from there. Head down. Go this way. Oh, darn. There's the rule of 3 signal. We're into yellow bars now here on the hawk, so we can cancel that. It spoiled our macro pullback signal. We'll see if they come out of here. We'll get yet another first micro-macro cross signal, if in fact they are heading lower. All right, well, we'll put that on the shelf for a moment, waiting for the Falcon to produce a trend change signal. And the Raptor dead flat. Jim says the NQ is actually the strongest of the stock indices at the moment. All right, I'm going to look at getting my stops in a little bit closer. It's just with the rule of 3 signal. If this fails now and the market trips here, it's going to try to get above this high. And I may as well look at minimizing my exposure. Shoot. Doggone it. I didn't want that to trigger. Ooh, the sellers are in trouble now. As we get back toward these highs around this 45.19, 45.20 area, that's going to be the last chance for the sellers to dig in. If they don't recover the market at that point, then it's going to be a done deal. And you know what? You know how I mentioned to you I didn't want to get stopped out if the market went a couple ticks or two above that level? Well, I still don't want that. So I'm going to hold my stop on the fear that the market's going to come up here and just trade through that 45.20 area and then head lower. It's a little bit of a gamble because, of course, the market may well just keep going and tag me up there, but chances are pretty good that somewhere through here the sellers will show up one more time and offer me an opportunity to start rolling my stops in. After all, they showed up right here, didn't they? All right, so here's a green bar sell. This one you could effectively bracket. You could choose to sell it. You could choose to buy it. Just missed the sell side. I would probably set it up like this. And I think it's a onesie kind of day. Where you just, if you're going to take an order, you just throw a single on it. So if the sellers hold it at this point here, we should be okay. The sellers can hold this 45.15 area where they seem to have topped out, which is also our median line. We should be able to see one more press lower, in which case we can become a little bit more aggressive with our stops. Come on down. Oh, that's terrible. So the market just kissed the profit objective, would have hit the break-even trigger. If we were running one, we would be stopped here at break-even on this trade. But how unfortunate, for the sake of one tick, they don't give you your profit. You could be looking to buy the failure of this green bar sell, to buy above here. It is a legitimate trade. Boy, whichever side lets go here, I think we're going to see the market unwind. although I've been expecting that all week and it hasn't happened. This 4512 area, 4512, 4515, this is going to be a number to remember as well, as the market really seems to be struggling. When it gets around here. Come on. Come on, it's just a couple of ticks. Jeepers. There we go. Come on. No signal on the Raptor yet. We do have the structure for a possible cloud crossover and a short opportunity. I'm thinking ahead. It hasn't fully developed yet, but we have retested the highs, right? So if we produce a sell signal here, it's reasonable to expect the market to try to head lower. There's kind of the trend line support that could influence traders. Just very sideways. Come on. Wow. Can the market be more sideways? Gee, I don't think so. I'm still debating rolling my stop in above this high. If we got the bar to actually finish lower, it would be easier to roll that stop. But right now it's still so neutral, so up in the air. And yes, I'm concerned that it may break to the upside. Yeah, like Jim says, this is a chop fest. He says oil on the Raptor is Yellow Bar City. Yes, it is. The thing with oil, though, it's a little bit more defined, right? You've got an obvious downtrend pretty much from the London Open. The market left off here. Asian session, non-existent. London opens, boom, down she goes. So this really has a, bear flag type look to it. So I would be favoring a short unless we could break above the high, in which case I would consider that to be a soft edge buy, any signal producing near there. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, is really, really, really sideways, really conflicted. All right, so here we go. We're getting a sell signal here on the Raptor. It's a very early trend change signal, cloud crossover. I'm basing it solely on the structure that you see here. And stops are going to go above the highs. Because if the market reverses from here, well, that's the place to get out. This is a very aggressive type trade. All right, here's the next obstacle. I can roll my stop in a bit now on the Eagle because we did get the bar to finish lower. And hopefully that will be enough to see it keep pressing lower. And maybe even give us a first micro-macro cross. So now we're into the trend line. Come on, break that trend line. No! Break it. Oh, man. Gold's still very strong. That should be putting a little pressure on the stock indices. And if we break the trend line here, we're going to start running over a few buyers. We're going to see the buyers run away, and then the guys that bought here, and girls that bought here, are going to start to panic. And if they get flushed out, then we could see a little bit more selling going on. There we go. Okay. There we go. Let's flush them out. Who's your daddy? There you go. Come on. Take that profit target. I think I'm going to go now to perhaps the ATR strategy. Which will hopefully bring my stops in a little bit quicker. Hopefully there won't be a reversal there. Oh, Raptor, you're killing me. Look at that. My entry, what, 2 ticks late? Is that what we're short of the profit target? 2 ticks? You're not going to stop there for 2 ticks. Don't you dare. There we go. Okay, so we hit our first profit objective on the Raptor. We are now in a break-even mode. I'll also move here to the ATR, maybe adjust to parabolics if the trade continues in our favor. And what I'm looking for is a retest here of the 4,500 area. That would be a very, very nice profit objective. Oh, this eagle trade is making me squirm. First micro macro cross signal now on the hawk. The structure's not bad. You would have to risk it something like that, I would think. If we get into a macro pullback, it makes it a little bit easier to take. But the further you can keep your stop away, the better. And like I said, it's kind of a onesie kind of day. Oh, good question, Russell. Russell's asking, would you consider this here a 4-arrow consolidation? Yes. Yes, I would. I didn't even spot that. Good call. A lot of times when the market moves into yellow bars, my eyes just kind of glaze over. But the whole thing of a 4-arrow consolidation is that the market is consolidating. It's indecisive. It's sideways. Or, ideally, the 4-arrow consolidation in a downtrend has got this type of shape to it. So you produce 1, 2, 3, there's signal number 4, and away you go. And the opposite is true in an uptrend, where the best shape is like this, and then you produce your buy signals, and away you go. Occasionally, the market will have, one of these where it just goes sideways, but you still get the 4 signals, and they could be all over the map. But yeah, you're right. That's a 4-arrow consolidation. I missed it. Good call. All right, we've hit the break-even trigger. I'm trying very hard to be conservative with my stops here, trying to give the market a chance to sort itself out, but I think I'd better go with at least the ATR. Hopefully the market won't reach too far back. Hopefully the seller's going to push it down here one more time. This was a very important price also, if you remember from the other day. Yesterday's lows, I think, were around this 45.05 mark. Nuts, don't you dare get into a macro pullback. Shoot. All right. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I got to leave my stop up here. It's going to go into a macro pullback. The sellers are going to try to give it another push here somewhere. I just don't want to get tagged on a premature little rally. Although the buyers are showing up in force, aren't they? I think our Raptor trade just got tagged. Yes, it did. And I'm going to force this one to break even also. There we go. That's all they get. If the sellers can't get it together from here, then go ahead, take me out. And I'm waiting for this hawk bar to turn over. So now, you Raptor traders, you're working a cloud crossover to the short side. So the market is broken down. It's retreating into the cloud. We're going to anticipate that it's going to come out of the cloud now and produce a sell signal. If that holds, then that would be a suitable short. But the buyers looking a lot stronger here at the moment. I'm curious, did this market hit its profit target? Oh, it did too. Well, I guess I shouldn't have expected the market to give real big follow through on a day like today. Should have just taken the profit when I had it. All right, well, we're looking for an opportunity for the market to move a little bit lower. I got tapped here on the Eagle trade. The reason I chose to roll my stops in a little bit tighter is this was starting to look very much like a retest of the low, in which case it would lead to a possible reversal higher. This hawk is just such a mess. Too many yellow bars, too much sideways trading. Got my eye on the Raptor here for a possible sell signal and the Falcon for a possible short. Because the Falcon is working a trend change signal. See, the trend line went from green to red. Here's the down, here's the up. We'll see if they come back with a down and a sell signal. It would be an aggressive sell trying to short into that 4,500 low. That's what we're seeing now is a reaction to 4,500 buyers getting a little bit nervous trying to support the market at 4,503, 4,504. If they can follow through on that, well then we're going to have a bit of a bullish rally as sellers start to scatter. But if the shorts pull it off, then they're going to send the buyers running for cover. All right, time to get my stops in on this bad boy too. Oops, wrong button. Okay, that's all you get. It's just a little bit too indecisive, so I'll take the early stop out. And we'll wait. We'll wait for the next opportunity. And we'll see here in a moment whether that was a good decision or not. And that's why it's always helpful to keep a trading journal so that you can keep track of these things. All right, so far it looks like it was a good call to ditch and take the stop out early. Well, trading range, that's what it's starting to look like. We've managed ourselves pretty well considering how it's been a pretty tough day. no clean signal here, so we're just kind of waiting, watching and waiting. Well, what happened? Did everybody go home? There's nothing going on here. Well, it looks like the market is going to be pretty congested here for a little while. I think we're going to shut down the room for this morning, and we'll look at giving it another go on Friday. Hopefully something's going to shake up here. If we break out above the current high, which is here at around 45.18, I think we're going to see a little bit of a rally. We are working a possible cloud crossover here on the Raptor, so look for a market to retreat into the cloud and then come out. We're working a possible trend change signal here on the Falcon. Same thing, we're going to look for, we've got the up push, we need the down push and then the up push. So there's a possible buy there. And we're waiting on our first micro macro cross here with the hawk. So kind of across the board, the markets are in sync. We did get a rule of three signal, a nice rule of three signal actually here with the eagle. So you could currently be long from here, or you could be waiting for the trend change signal to develop. So a few options, all of them looking a little bit more bullish than bearish at the moment, but it all depends what the market does with that 45.18 area. All right, you guys, we'll check with you again tomorrow morning. Be careful. Talk to you then. Bye for now.